When you think of Monaco, luxury cars, million-dollar yachts, and the freakiest parties come to mind. After all, from fashion legends to casino kings and even actual royalty, everyone categorized as filthy rich lives here. But who is the wealthiest man in this tiny city overflowing with billionaires? He may live in Monaco, but his influence expands to neighboring countries. How did this guy manage to put the Prada-clad, Rolls-Royce driving, Birkin hoarders of Monaco to shame with his immense wealth? Let's find out everything about the most notable members of the billionaire club and how their wealth fades in comparison to the richest man in Monaco. Mohammed Al-Fayed. Mohammed Al-Fayed was born on January 27, 1929, in Alexandria, Egypt. He was the oldest son of a schoolteacher. His birth year has been debated, but it was officially listed as 1929. Fayed had two brothers, Ali and Salah, who worked with him in business. In 1954, Fayed married Samira Khashoggi, but they divorced in 1956. He later worked with her brother, a businessman, an arms dealer named Adnan Khashoggi. In 1985, Fayed married Haji-Ioannou, a Finnish model, and they had 4 children together: Jasmine, Camilla, Karim, and Omar. In the early 1970s, Fayed added Al to his name, making it Al-Fayed to suggest a family of nobility. Some people joked about this and called him the phony pharaoh. His brothers also used Al when they bought the House of Fraser, which included the famous Harrods store, but they eventually stopped using it. Fayed had a public dispute with businessman Conrad Black, demanding that the Daily Telegraph newspaper call him Al-Fayed. Fayed was also involved in a feud with Tiny Rowland, who accused him of lying about his wealth and background. This led to a government investigation, but no action was taken against Fayed. In 1979, Fayed bought the Ritz Hotel in Paris for $30 million. A few years later, in 1985, he and his brothers bought the rest of the House of Fraser for $615 million. Rowland claimed that the Fayed brothers had misled everyone, but Fayed still held on to Harrods. Fayed applied for British citizenship twice, but was denied both times, possibly because he conflicted with Rowland. Fayed also became involved in a political scandal known as the Cash for Questions affair. He revealed that he had paid members of parliament to ask questions on his behalf, leading to the downfall of some politicians. In 1996, Fayed bought the rights to the magazine Punch, but it was not successful and closed in 2002. Fayed had legal battles throughout his life. In 1998, Rowland accused Fayed of stealing from his safe at Harrods, but the charges were dropped. Fayed moved to Switzerland in 2003 due to tax disagreements, but later returned to Britain, considering it his home. Mohammed Al-Fayed owned many famous businesses. He bought a big castle in Scotland and owned a famous building called 75 Rockefeller Plaza in New York. He also bought the House of Fraser, which included Harrods, a very well-known store, in 1985. He later sold Harrods for a lot more money in 2010. Al-Fayed even owned Fulham Football Club and sold it for a lot of money too. After Wallis Simpson passed away, Al-Fayed took over her home in Paris and fixed it up, with the help of a man who had worked for the Duke of Windsor. In 1996, Al-Fayed started Liberty Publishing to get involved in media. He wanted to buy important newspapers, but didn't always succeed. He once offered $25 million to buy The Observer, but was turned down. He did, however, buy a women's radio station, which was later called Liberty Radio. It played soccer games for Fulham Football Club. Liberty Publishing had money problems so it had to shut down. Al-Fayed also owned properties in fancy places like Mayfair, London, and a house in the French Riviera. He bought buildings secretly connected to a hotel he helped buy for the Sultan of Brunei. In the 1970s, he bought a chalet in Switzerland and an estate in Surrey, England. Al-Fayed got into a legal fight with an oil company that drilled under his land in Surrey but lost the case in the end. Al-Fayed's son, Dodi, was close to Princess Diana. In 1997, Dodi and Diana went on a vacation on Al-Fayed's yacht. Sadly, they were both killed in a car crash in Paris. Afterward, Al-Fayed accused that there was a plot to kill them, even accusing powerful people of being involved. However, many investigations found no proof of a conspiracy. Al-Fayed eventually accepted the findings but still helped fund a film that told his version of what happened. Al-Fayed's life was full of business deals, challenges, and controversy, but he always fought hard for what he believed in. Stefano Pessina. Stefano Pessina was born on June 4, 1941, in Pescara, Italy. He's an insanely rich businessman and the biggest shareholder of Walgreens Boots Alliance, a big company that owns chains of pharmacies across the globe. When Stefano was young, he lived in different cities in Italy, like Milan, Como, and Naples. He went to the Polytechnic University of Milan and studied nuclear engineering. He wanted to become a nuclear scientist, but the political problems in the 1970s made him change his mind. Instead, he worked as a teacher and later joined a company in Milan that did market research, learning about how businesses work. In 1977, Stefano decided to help with his family's business. His family owned a small company in Naples that sold medicine to pharmacies. Stefano, however, decided against keeping the business small. Instead, he made it much bigger by joining with another company and creating something called Alliance Santé. This group sold medicine in both France and Italy. Later, in 1997, his company joined with another called Alliance Unichem, making it even bigger. Stefano became the boss of Alliance Unichem from 2001 to 2004. He worked hard and made important decisions. The company grew and then joined with another famous company called Boots Group in 2006. By 2007, the whole company was private, meaning regular people couldn't buy its shares anymore. Stefano was the chairman of this new company, Alliance Boots, from 2007 to 2014. Later, Walgreens, a huge chain of pharmacies in the US, teamed up with Boots to become Walgreens Boots Alliance, WBA. Stefano became the executive chairman of WBA, which means he was still in charge, but not as involved in everyday tasks. In 2020, Stefano decided he didn't want to work as the CEO anymore. He passed the job on to someone else, but stayed with the company as the executive chairman, still making big decisions for WBA. In January 2015, Stefano gave an interview to a newspaper called the Sunday Telegraph. The big question at the time was about who would win the 2015 United Kingdom general election. Stefano didn't think the Labour Party, one of the groups running for office, would be good for the country's businesses. He thought if they won, it would be bad for the economy and companies like his. He didn't like their plans for businesses and thought they would hurt the country. Many people in the Labour Party didn't like what Stefano said. One of the leaders, Chuka Umunna, criticised him by saying that Stefano didn't live in the UK and didn't pay taxes there, so he shouldn't be telling the British people what was good for them. Later, another Labour leader, Ed Miliband, agreed. He said that Stefano was giving advice to British voters while avoiding paying taxes in the UK, which made people angry. Walgreens Boots Alliance had to step in. and explain that Stefano was only sharing his personal opinion and wasn't trying to influence the election. And they didn't want people to think their company was against the Labour Party or any other political group. Some people, like Alistair Heath, a writer for The Telegraph, defended Stefano. He said the attacks against Stefano were unfair because Stefano had done so much as a successful businessman. Stefano Pessina is married to Ornella Barra, who also works at Walgreens Boots Alliance as the Chief Operating Officer for international business. Before marrying Ornella, Stefano was married to someone else, and he has 2 grown-up children from that earlier marriage. According to reports, Stefano was worth over $10 billion in 2021, making him one of the richest people in the world. David Nahmad. David Nahmad is a billionaire who used to work as an art dealer. He was born in 1947 in Lebanon, but his family has roots in Syria. His family is part of the Syrian Jewish community, and today they live in Monaco. David's story starts long before he was born. His family originally came from Aleppo, Syria. They were Jewish, and his grandfather, Ezra Nahmad, worked as a banker. After World War II, things became dangerous for Jewish people in Syria. In 1947, there were violent attacks against the Jewish community. Because of this, Hillel decided to leave Syria and take his family to Beirut, Lebanon. But Lebanon also became unsafe, and by the early 1960s, Hillel moved his 3 sons, Joseph, Ezra, and David, to Milan, Italy, to start a new life. As teenagers, David and his brothers started trading art. After school, they would also buy and sell stocks on the Italian stock market. David's son, Hillel, known as Heli, now runs an art gallery in New York called the Ezra Nahmad Gallery. He took over the family's gallery business in 2000. The Nahmad family is so big in the art world that some people compare them to a large company in the stock market. Their buying and selling of art help shape the art market. The Nahmad collection is impressive. It includes important paintings like Young Girl with a Flower Basket by Pablo Picasso, which they bought for $115 million at a big auction. This piece is one of the many famous artworks they own. One of the family's paintings, called Seated Man with a Cane by Amedeo Modigliani, became part of a legal battle. In 2011, a man named Philippe Maestracci went to court, claiming that the painting had been stolen from his grandfather, Oskar Stettiner, during World War II. He said the Nazis took it from his grandfather when they occupied Paris. Maestracci wanted the painting back, as it was worth over $25 million. The painting went through a lot of legal battles. David Nahmad and his family said they bought the painting legally at an auction in London, and that Oskar Stettiner did not actually own it. The courts had to figure out who really had the rights to the painting. David Nahmad is married to Colette, and they have 3 children, Heli, Joe, and Marielle. His daughter Marielle is married to Edmund Safra, who comes from a wealthy family of bankers. David is also known for his skill in the game of backgammon, a game where players move pieces based on dice rolls. In fact, he won the World Championship in 1996 and is known to bet large sums of money when he plays. Ezra Nahmad. Ezra Nahmad, as his name indicates, is the older brother, David Nahmad. One of the biggest moments in Ezra's early art-dealing career happened in Rome. There was a special art show with paintings by Juan Gris, a famous artist. Ezra and his brother were the only ones who bought something at the show, which got the attention of Daniel Henry Kahnweiler, an important art dealer. He liked the Nahmad brothers and sold them even more priceless paintings, including works by Pablo Picasso, Georges Braque, and Juan Gris. But soon, another danger appeared. In the 1970s, a group called the Red Brigades was causing a lot of trouble in Italy. The Nahmad family didn't feel safe in Milan anymore. Ezra and his brother Joseph moved to Monaco, while David went to New York City. By 2013, Ezra and his brother David had become famous in the world of art. They were known as mega dealers, buying and selling famous works by artists like Monet, Matisse, Renoir, and Rothko. Together, the Nahmad brothers collected thousands of paintings, between 4,000 and 4,500 pieces. Most of their art is stored in a large warehouse near an airport in Geneva, Switzerland, in a place where they don't have to pay certain taxes. The Nahmad brothers often buy and sell their art at big auctions, and their collection became one of the most valuable in the world. In 2007, it was said that their art collection was worth between $7 and $8 billion. By 2015, Ezra and his brother David were known as the richest people living in Monaco. Even though Ezra was very successful, his name came up in a big scandal in 2016. This was when the Panama Papers were leaked, showing how many rich people were using secret companies to avoid paying taxes. Ezra and his family were said to be using these kinds of companies to help them buy and sell art without paying the right amount of taxes. This made a lot of people upset and brought unwanted attention to Ezra's business. Ezra Nahmad is married to a woman named Marie, and they live in Monaco. They have 4 children. His son, Heli, followed in his father's footsteps and is an art dealer in London. His daughter, Michaela, is married to an investor named Nathaniel Mayohas. Ezra's cousin is a famous banker named Edmond Safra, who was well known in Brazil. Even though Ezra's life has had its ups and downs, from moving countries because of danger to being part of a big tax scandal, he has built a huge art business. Today, he and his family are still known for their impressive collection of famous paintings and their influence in the art world. Stelios Hajiynu. Stelios Hajiynu was born in Athens, Greece on February 14, 1967. He was the second of 3 children in his family. His older brother is Polis and his younger sister is Clelia. Both of them are also involved in the family business, EasyJet. Stelios's father, Lucas, comes from a village called Padoulas in Cyprus, and his mother, Nidi, is from Linnaea, which is near the mountains. When Stelios finished school in Athens, he went to study economics at a school in London called the London School of Economics. He graduated in 1987. Then he studied even more and got a master's degree in shipping, trade, and finance. Later, he received 4 special honorary degrees from different universities for his achievements. At 17, Stelios started working with his father at Troodos Shipping Co. Leti, a successful shipping company. When he was 25, his father gave him $30 million to start his own shipping company called Stelmar Shipping. He made smart choices, and in 2001, Stelmar Shipping became a part of the New York Stock Exchange. 4 years later, he sold his company for about $1.3 billion. In April 1991, Stelios faced a tough situation. A big oil tanker that his father's company owned had an accident. This caused a lot of damage, spilling oil into the sea and sadly leading to 6 deaths. Some people blamed Stelios for not taking care of the ship well enough. He even faced charges in Italy for manslaughter and trying to influence witnesses. However, he said that a mistake by a crew member caused the accident. In the end, Stelios and his father were found not guilty by a jury, and the courts did not hold them responsible for any damages. In 1995, when Stelios was 28, he started a new airline called EasyJet. It offered flights between Luton and Scotland. By 2000, EasyJet became part of the London Stock Exchange, and Stelios and his family owned the biggest share of the airline. EasyJet is now one of Europe's largest airlines, flying millions of passengers every year. Stelios runs his business through a company called Easy Group. This company helps many businesses that use the Easy name, including Easy Car for car rentals and Easy Hotel for affordable places to stay. Other businesses he started include Easy Bus for cheap bus rides, Easy Food Store for budget groceries, Easy Gym for low-cost gym memberships, and Easy Property for online home services. Stelios also launched Easy Cruise, a low-cost cruise line, but sold it a few years later. He even had a coffee business called Easy Coffee. In 2011, Stelios worked on a new airline called FastJet, which aimed to make flying cheaper for people in Africa. It began flying in November 2012. In 2009, Stelios had a disagreement with another airline, Ryanair. They ran ads that made fun of him, calling him EasyJet's Mr. Late Again. Stelios took them to court, and they eventually apologized and paid him some money, which he decided to give to charity. In 2010, Stelios left the board of EasyJet because he did not like the company's plans to grow. He believed that EasyJet was not creating enough value for its shareholders. In 2013, he sold some of his shares to protest against buying more planes. In April 2020, he publicly asked for the removal of EasyJet's CEO because he disagreed with a big plane order. Stelios has lived in Monaco since he was a teenager. He received a knighthood from Queen Elizabeth in 2006 for his services in business. He was also part of a group that advised the Conservative Party about business policies. The character Omar Baba in the BBC comedy Come Fly With Me is said to be inspired by Stelios. In 2018, he even took Netflix to court because he believed their show Easy used his brand name without permission. Stelios cares about helping people. He has a charity called the Stelios Philanthropic Foundation. It supports education and helps new businesses in the UK, Greece, and Cyprus. His foundation gives out annual awards with cash prizes to young entrepreneurs who show promise. Stelios Hajiynu's story shows how hard work and smart ideas can lead to great success. Even when he faced challenges, he continued to grow his businesses and help others along the way. Bahar Hariri. Bahar Hariri was born in Saudi Arabia on April 26, 1966. He studied hard and got a master's degree in business from Boston University. After he finished school, he started working at his family's construction company, Saudi Oga Limited. In 2002, Bahar began a new journey by starting Horizon Group, a company that invests in buildings and land in places like Lebanon, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. He also owns most of a company called Globe Express Services. This company helps move things around the world and works in over 100 countries. Bahar made a big investment in a project called New Abdali in Amman, Jordan. This project is a team effort with the Jordanian government. They are working together to turn an old part of the city, called Al-Abdali, into a beautiful area with nice shops, homes, and offices. In 2008, Bahar decided to sell his part of Saudi Oga, the family construction company. He sold it to his brother Saad Hariri, who used to be the Prime Minister of Lebanon. This was a big change for him. In 2010, Bahar promised to create the Rafik B. Hariri Institute for Computing and Computational Science and Engineering at Boston University. He is also a member of the Board of Trustees there. This means he helps make important decisions for the school. In May 2011, he opened the Rafik Hariri Center for the Middle East at the Atlantic Council. This is a special group in Washington, D.C. that thinks about important ideas and helps make plans for the future. Bahar is part of the Council's International Advisory Board, which means he gives advice on important matters. In June 2011, he helped open a shopping mall called ABC Verdun in Beirut. This mall was built by Bahar's real estate company, Verdun 1544, and another company called ABC. They worked together to create a fun place for people to shop and enjoy. Bahar cares about his community. In February 2021, he made a big donation to the Lebanese American University Medical Center. This donation helped the hospital carry out its vaccination campaign to fight the COVID-19 virus. He wanted to help people stay safe and healthy during the pandemic. Bahar also donated oxygen machines to the Lebanese Red Cross. These machines help people breathe better, especially those who are sick. His donations showed how much he cares about the well-being of the Lebanese people during tough times. Bahar is married to Hasna Bahar Hariri, and together they have 5 children. Family is important to him, and he works hard to provide for them while also making a difference in the world. We hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. We hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more.